So since I'm a psychic medium who also has a bachelor's degree in screenwriting, one of my favorite things to do is review movies in relation to how they deal with the other side. And so I thought The Adjustment Bureau was a great example of free will, life purpose, how our free will affects other people, and how spirit guides try to maneuver around our free will to keep us on path. So I do want to apologize that this video is being uploaded so late in the game. I have wanted to make this video for a long time, but there was a point in the movie where I just kept getting stuck, where I was like, no, I need more experience. I need more experience. And it was because I didn't feel like I had enough experience in dealing with the other side to really address that point in the movie. Now I do. So I feel a lot more comfortable talking about this movie with regards to what I feel like would have happened instead of what actually happened in the movie. So I feel a little more comfortable going there. I've seen The Adjustment Bureau about 14 times, and while my friends will tell you it's because of Matt Damon, I will assert that I was conducting thorough research. So again, I feel completely comfortable with what I have to say. So the plot, I just want to tell you, I'm totally spoiling it. I'm totally telling you how the movie ends, and I'm completely spoiling the plot. So if you haven't seen the movie, I encourage you to watch it before you watch this video. Great movie, loved it. So please feel free to watch it so that I don't ruin it for you, because it does have kind of a surprise ending to it. So David Norris is Matt Damon's character, and he's running for Senator of New York. And he loses, and when he's in a hotel bathroom preparing his concession speech, after losing, he runs into a woman named Elise who inspires him to give a speech that is extremely authentic, which really appeals to people. People can smell BS, so there's nothing better than authenticity when you're giving a speech, especially as a politician, right? So people are coming up to him after the speech saying, I admire you for that. Hey, he's getting a lot of kudos for just being real. So this woman that he meets and later ends up falling in love with, as you can see, is actually good for him. And she rubbed off on him in a very good way. So the movie gets off to a strong start, but as we learn later, she actually interferes with his life purpose, because his eventual life purpose is to become president. And it feels like, I think they mentioned at one point, to stay president for 8 years. So they're saying, David, you have the ability to really matter. You have the ability to really make a difference in this world. So his life purpose is important and it affects the masses. So one of the reasons why they're trying to keep Elise away from him later on in the movie is because she actually ends up interfering with his life purpose. So the whole movie is about them trying to keep him apart. And so it is kind of interesting to see how they work. Now, spirit guides, our personal team of guardian angels who live on the other side, they're a lot more loving than this. They're very compassionate. They cry easily, very loving, angelic. Everything's done for our highest good. So the whole tripping thing, the car accident thing, the whole lying to him thing, I'm like, It's a little bit more pure than that, but I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to keep this guy on path. So it's all of a big picture kind of thing, and just a comedy of errors trying to keep this guy on path. So I guess I want you guys to watch this and kind of take it with a grain of salt, in that for me, I think it's a really nice framework where if your life purpose is major and you do have the ability to affect the masses, yeah, your free will is going to get a little bit fuzzy, because your free will decision affects so many people. So I kind of feel like that's why things were so, I guess, controlled, in this movie. So one of the things that this movie actually says is, they say that free will is an illusion. You don't really have free will. You have the illusion of free will. And that's actually not true. We have free will. And our free will is actually how we command universal energies. If you align yourself with the truth, you attract light and wonderful, amazing things to yourself and onto your path. If you align yourself with falsities, you attract the dark onto your path. So via the law of attraction, you do command universal energies via your free will decisions. It's pretty interesting. So we're all just a bunch of witches and warlocks at the end of the day. But we are empowered with free will. And as a matter of fact, when your spirit guides are guiding you on your path, they're really big about this. This is an energy center that you have, and it's called your personal power chakra. They're really big on personal power. They do not like the victim mentality at all. It weakens you, and it makes you feel like life is something that happens to you as opposed to for you. All about personal power. Grab the bull by the horns, phoenix rising from the ashes, take back control of your life via self-discipline, self-love, decisions, that kind of thing. Planning ahead, whatever it takes to feel in control of your life. But they're really big on personal power. So we do have free will, and they're really very much not interested in squelching that, I have to say. They respect free will. They're extremely respectful of free will. So if something is predestined and absolutely has to happen for everybody's highest good, they will work with our free will. And the way they do that is they show us things. So they will share bits of information with us to where it might like tip the scale, or it's like, all right, I'm convinced now, I've seen enough. So that's the way it works. The most I have felt my free will tampered with when I am at a point where I absolutely have to do something that they're asking me to do, I have said no. I just flat out said, no, I'm not doing that. I ended up feeling anxiety and nausea for the rest of the day. And when I did what they asked me to do, it went away. So that was my higher self, the part of my soul that lives on the other side. That was my higher self sending me that negative emotion in order to motivate me to do it. I've had overwhelming thoughts. I've had compulsions in feeling compelled to do things or say things. But at the end of the day, I still had free will. And I didn't feel like I was forced into something. Now, there is one situation where I was running on the treadmill at my gym, and the other side came forward and said, we're not interested in fear-based decisions. And I didn't want kids at the time. And so the divine himself showed up and said, I'm not interested in fear-based decisions. And I felt my mind change. And all of a sudden I wanted kids. And I said, you can't do that. That's my free will. I just caught you interfering with my free will. And he said, this is a deal breaker for the man that you're supposed to marry. And I am not interested in fear-based decisions. I did not change your mind. I merely chased the darkness away from that. So my decision to not have children was based in fear. And he wanted me to make a decision based in love. So all he did was go and basically blow the fear away. And then all of a sudden my decision became pure. So I did accuse him of tampering with my free will, but whatever. That's like the most hardcore example I can give you, is he was interested in a love-based decision, not a fear-based decision. Another thing is that this entire movie to me felt really reactive instead of proactive. The other side is all-knowing, so they can see the alternate realities. As if you go left, this happens. If you go right, this happens. So the other side very much has the ability to plan ahead for things and take everything into account, because they're all knowing. And they can see your soul, and they can see your free will, whatever. So they're more proactive than reactive. So I felt like these guys running around like being reactive to everything, like, made them look like they really weren't prepared. They're more prepared. So I would classify the other side as being a lot more proactive than reactive. They would have seen it coming. Another thing they mentioned in the movie was a decision tree. I'm like, yeah, the decision tree. It's where you can see the various outcomes of those free will decisions. Well, if they do this, this happens. So they called it a decision tree. So that was pretty cool too. I'd never heard that phrase before, and I'm like, yeah, that's a great way to describe it. Number 3. Now, as I mentioned, Matt Damon's character was supposed to be president. Now, I want to pose the question, why? If his life purpose was to be president, like, why? Was he going to make a profound difference in this world? Was he just going to turn everything around and really, just light up the country with his light? But if it's your life purpose to be president, like, they said in the movie, his God-given gifts and talents as a soul, right, is meant for that seat. So it's kind of like, I felt like the movie, a lot of it was like, circumstantial versus soul. If it's your life purpose to be president, your God-given gifts align you with that position. You're cut out for it. You're made to do it. So there were a lot of circumstances surrounding that where I'm like, that takes a back seat to his soul, because his life purpose comes first. So this is going to be the first priority for the other side, is your life purpose, how you can help humanity. And they're going to be very protective of your circumstances and your vibration so that you can carry out your life purpose. So they're not going to allow your love life to interfere with your life purpose. And that's one of the things that I really just want to add, because, obviously I talk to a lot of people every day. If you're married and you interfere with your partner's life purpose, my advice to you is don't. And I am dead serious with this one, you guys. I do not want to see forces of nature break you up. I don't care if you're soulmates. I don't care. You interfere with your partner's life purpose. You interfere with your partner speaking their truth. Some bad news right there. You may as well be working for the dark. Get out of the way and allow them to pursue their life purpose, because you do not want to get in the way of what they're supposed to be doing to help humanity. Trust me on this one. Forces of nature will break you up so fast, because your life purpose comes first and your love life comes second. So yeah, anyway, passionate about that subject there, folks. Now, in this case, David Norris has the ability to help the masses. So as I previously mentioned, his free will decisions are going to matter a little bit more, because what he does affects a lot of people. So he's meant to be president, and they were just kind of saying, like, this isn't only about you, you can matter, David. And so they were telling him all these reasons why they didn't really want him to be with Elise, because she interferes with his life purpose. Now, his response to that was, I don't care. His response to that was, I don't really care. And so the point that they actually made, now this is where it gets kind of squirrely, okay? This point in the movie, because it's kind of like they tell him, if you and Elise end up, or the reason we're trying to split up you and Elise is because if you and Elise end up together, she interferes with your life purpose, you interfere with her life purpose, and the whole thing just goes to hell in a handbasket. So forget it. We don't want you guys to end up together, right? And then later it comes out that that was a lie. So there's like a plot twist where that was a lie. And apparently the real reason they didn't want them together is they're saying that he's codependent. So I'm sorry I messed up. I mean, my everything like goes to hell in a handbasket when I'm talking while I'm writing. They were worried about his codependence, and because what they were saying is that she's enough. Elise is enough. He falls in love and she satisfies all of his needs to where he's not even interested in being president anymore. She is such a big distraction for him that he literally just like dumps his life purpose and just becomes enthralled in her. That's basically what they said, is they were worried about his codependence. Now, I'm saying that what would have happened instead, right, is that they would have beaten the codependence out of him before he met Elise. Because the whole issue that I'm having with this movie is these two people came together at the wrong time. He technically wasn't ready for her. He was still codependent, right? 3 years pass and they come together again. Okay, here's what I'm telling you would have happened instead. During those 3 years that they were apart, the other side would have brought a narcissist onto his path. He would have dated the narcissist. He would have learned from it, and the narcissist would have beaten the codependence out of him. Then they can bring Elise onto his path, and he's fine. He would still be focused on his life purpose and how he can help humanity while still being in love with Elise, right? And then she can still focus on her life purpose. So that's what I'm saying, is they kept saying, Elise is enough, David. He loses interest in motivation, and, she's too big of a distraction, and whatever. I'm saying that this probably would have been what happened instead, is the other side would have been like, he's not ready for her. He's not ready. He can be with her, but he's not ready for her yet. So we have to beat the codependence out of him. So how are we going to do that? How are we going to get his soul ready for Elise's? That's what I'm saying would have happened instead. Instead of them just constantly trying to break them up or whatever, and confusing them, and, you know, it just being really FBI and not very loving. You know, that's what I'm saying. So, it would have been for the highest good of all involved, right? Now, if there was that little plot twist where they lied, I'm gonna go down a different road here to where maybe it wasn't a lie, where maybe it really did screw up his life purpose and it really did screw up her life purpose, and they just weren't good for each other. You know what would have happened instead of that? They would have loved each other away, is what would have happened. Adrian is a guy that they brought under her path. He would not have been a scrub. Adrian would have been the faux shizzle Saint Nizzle, and he would have been really good for her. He would have turned her head. Her tongue would be hanging out of her mouth, and they would have used Adrian to love Elise away from David. Okay? That's another alternate reality where I think it would have been a lot more loving, where she's just like, ooh, you know, somebody else turns her head. And that would be like, you know, soulmate number 2 for her or whatever, who supports her in her dancing and her life purpose. He would be a better fit for her. And then they would have loved David away from Elise. They would have had him meet, you know, soulmate number 2 or whatever, who was better for his life purpose, who supported him better in the presidency. He's not codependent. She supports his life purpose. She does not make him overly rebellious, but she, you know, fosters that authentic side in him so that he's a fantastic president, right? And serves humanity well. So that's what I'm saying is, you know, his tongue would be wagging over this woman, her tongue would be wagging over this man, and they would have been loved away from each other to partners who were better suited for their life purpose. Okay? And then, that's, okay, so that was one of the things that I just wanted to address was like, okay, I mean, in the movie they said they lied, and I was like, whoa, I kind of liked that path. Let me just throw that scenario into my video as well. Now, what ends up happening at the end of the movie, and here's another spoiler alert, is that the chairman is the person that wrote this divine plan that they are following, and the chairman they're inferring is God, right? Now, at the end of the movie, it's basically them saying that they want to be together no matter what. It's David and Elise holding hands and just risking it all and taking a leap of faith, which goes over very well with the other side. I'm not going to lie. Leaps of faith are a really big deal to the divine. And they're essentially fighting, saying, no, we want to be together. And what ends up happening at the end of the movie is the divine plan is rewritten. The chairman rewrites the plan so that they can be together, right? Now, one of the reasons why I'm going to say that probably wouldn't happen is because it's like the divine saying, okay, let's just forget it. Like, her soul and your soul, like, isn't really that great for you becoming president and helping the masses because she interferes with your life purpose. You become really codependent and lose interest in it. But you know what? That's totally cool. I'm just going to rewrite the plan. Maybe you don't become president. Maybe you, like, do something else. I'm saying that the divine is not just going to throw his hands up in the air and say, okay, let's just forget the whole thing. I'm going to say that the original plan was pretty important and that these people with kind of like limited knowledge of the big picture, even like approaching the divine and saying, sorry, we want to be together, tough, the divine's going to sit them down and say, and I mean, because it's almost like they're approaching him, you know, saying, look, we know you didn't expect this, but we love each other and we want to be together and, you know, whatever. Like, kind of telling the divine that we know you didn't account for this when he did, number one. So it's kind of like coming from a place of ego. But number two, just putting their foot down and digging their heels in and saying, we want to be together. Sorry, deal with it. So the divine's going to sit David and Elise down and he's going to say, what about your life purpose? And they're going to say, so what? We don't really care. We just want to be together. And the divine is going to say, no, you actually signed a soul contract to be president. I'm holding you to that soul contract, and I'm telling you that her soul actually interferes with your soul contract. Does that not matter? You don't really care? Like, you don't really care about helping the masses? And so David Norris is going to have a decision to make where it's like, well, no, I mean, I care about my life purpose. And the divine's going to say, yeah, because this is about soul's growth. You know, this is about soul's growth, your soul contract, your ability to really make a profound difference in this world. You know, as the divine, I'm not really excited that you just want to walk away from that. Are you not interested in helping people? So, and then maybe the divine will say, you know, I do have a soulmate who's better suited for your life purpose in mind for you. You love her. She's wonderful and amazing. So that might come up too. But because of the codependence, they probably are going to need to keep him single until they can beat that out of him with, I don't know, relationship circumstances, seminars, right? Reading books on codependence. There's more than, you know, one way to do it. So I just wanted to share a little bit of personal experience here where I did approach the divine and asked him if he could change something on my path that involved soul's growth and learning. I said, I don't really want to do that. Is there any way we can switch it to blah, blah, blah instead? That conversation lasted about 3 seconds. It was the most telepathic, sped up conversation with the divine I've ever had. I could tell he was annoyed, and it was really strange. It was just mental telepathy, just boom, 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 like ping pong. And I was like, whoa, that didn't go over well, number one. And number two, this guy is like not having it. Like he's not excited that I even approached him with a change that would make my path easier. And I was definitely kind of telling him I know better than him. And another feeling that I got from him is like I'm approached with this all the time. You know, almost like a sore subject where it's like, look, Christine, everyone's trying to make their paths easier. You know, if you can grow and learn from this situation, you know, you're supposed to, kind of thing. So it was like me trying to weasel my way out of something and it didn't go over well. So I understand, but it was really weird. I remember the speed of the telepathic conversation really freaking me out. Like, wow, that was pretty fast. He's not happy with me right now. So I think that's where I feel like the ending of the movie is just a little bit arrogant for me, where it's like, listen, chairman, this is what we want. We're going to fight for it. And even at the end of the movie, it's like, he's hoping that you write your own plan. It's like, not really. Not really. We're all here to gain virtues, and the divine has a plan for us on how we can do that. So I'm going to call a bit of a foul on that one too. But I really encourage you guys to watch it because, you know, although it is a little bit FBI and a lot colder than, you know, angelic, loving, compassionate beings who are extremely empathetic towards us. But again, I just really like what it says and just the multidimensional ways how, you know, yeah, it's like, how does our free will affect other people? You know, what happens to free will when we have the ability to profoundly affect the masses in some way? You know, yeah, and obviously I have other videos involving the higher self because our higher self is actually what influences us, but we still have free will. We still have free will. So anyway, I hope you guys found this insightful. Again, I encourage you to watch the movie, and in the meantime, take care and be well. Thank you.